Okay, I think we'll call the meeting to order for the Parks Committee meeting. Would somebody like to move the minutes?
So moved, Harold.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary, carried. Next committee date is October 26, 2021 at 4 p.m. And I'd like to add one additional item, on item 4 to the agenda. I hope you all got regarding the 215 trees that were referred to council last night.
Harold, I'd like to add one too.
Okay, Bill, what would you like?
Just the Sports Council Facilities Task Force. It's just an information item. Okay, we can add that at the end.
Information on
Sports Council's Task Force. Facilities Task Force.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other additions?
Yes, Councillor Steves, I have a few which may end up coming up in managers' reports, but I'll list them anyhow. One is court usage, so around tennis or lacrosse box, the who can use it and how long can you use it for. Just some issues up there. Another one is
just hold it. I got to get it down. So what do you call it? Sports usage.
Sport usage.
Court usage.
Sport usage. Yeah. And around signage and stuff I've been observing over the summer. The second one, I'm not sure if I got the name right, Councillor Steves, you probably know, the Strawberry. It's the name of a boat at Britannia. I think they call it the Strawberry. There's a picture of a strawberry.
Yeah, Strawberry, okay.
And then another one is skateboarding in the city. We just received a mayor council. I think we all got the email about skateboard parks, and anyway, I'll talk about that real brief. And then last one, Audlin Wood Trail Park. Audlin Wood Trail and Park.
Okay. Do these need specific items, or can it be just questions under manager's report?
There potentially there's a motion I would make with all of them, so I think they might need an item spot.
Okay, so the last one then was what?
Audlin Wood Trail or Audlin Wood Park.
Audlin Wood.
Those four.
Okay. Our first item then is a delegation from the Britannia National Historic Site Society regarding the docks at Britannia Shipyards and Imperial Landing. And I notice a number of people here who is going to speak to us today. Bruce? Okay, Bruce Rosenhart. And do you have a delegation with you, or just yourself that's going to speak?
Mr. Chair, I have with me today remotely also Phil Carlson, the president of the Society, and Lauren Sly.
Okay.
And there they are.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Can I proceed?
Would like to proceed and tell us what you would like.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Councillors, it's a pleasure to be here with you remotely today. Hopefully, we'll have these in-person meetings sometime soon as well. As I said, Phil Carlson and Lauren Sly are with me and available for questions, and you should have a copy of my notes for this presentation, which I'll give in summary in your meeting package. And with that, I'll begin. On April 28th in 2021 this year, Council approved a staff recommendation that the Britannia Shipyards National Historic Site Society begin a pilot project, including the operations of the docks at Imperial Landing and the Britannia Shipyards. Subsequently, the Society, in consultation with staff, have prepared two reports, the Dock Management Pilot Report and the Interim Moorage Agreement that formed the basis of the Society's dock management project. In this process, it has become apparent to the Society that in order to effectively manage the docks and other waterfront issues, dedicated staff with specialized training is needed. The Society would contribute revenue from the dock operations to support this position. Having a dedicated waterfront coordinator would assist with more efficient planning and support the effective management of transient boat traffic and all pier and dock operations. Working with stakeholders and the society, the waterfront coordinator would promote the river's waterfront amenities with local, regional, and international boating communities. The waterfront coordinator could also coordinate all functions, activities, maintenance, repairs of dock facilities, management of dock space rentals, responding to emergencies, protecting boats and related properties, and more. On behalf of the society, we're requesting that the city consider creating a waterfront coordinator position to support the society in ongoing waterfront activities, including funding for this position as part of the 2022 budget process. The society would contribute dock revenue to support this position. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thanks for your report. And everybody's got the written report. Are there any questions from committee? People are blanking out. Okay, Linda.
Harold?
Oh, okay, I got hands up now. They weren't here a minute ago. So Linda, Bill, and Michael. Okay. I'm not sure who was first.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Linda?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the delegation, thank you for your presentation. Now, your request is that the city consider creating a position. Now, you go into detail about what this position entails. Do you have any idea then of what that cost for that position would be? I guess committee would have to make a referral, but you must have some base amount that, in your research we would be looking at.
I'll pass that over to Phil.
Yes, we have had some brief discussion or some discussions with staff on this, and their feeling is HR will do a job evaluation, and it may come in the range of $25 to $30 per hour to get a qualified person for this kind of position.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think this is long in coming, and I think we should refer this to staff to come back. Obviously, they've had some discussions, and I would think that this could be done within 6 weeks. So I'm prepared that whenever you wish to refer this to staff to come back to committee within 6 weeks.
Okay, we've got one more hand up, and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just say now I would support the referral, as Councillor McNulty just mentioned, so I won't speak later. But I just had a question for the delegate and a question for staff. So through the chair, do we, to the delegate first, do we have a comparison? So does Granville Island have a waterfront coordinator, and would that be do we have a better maybe comparison than that? Is there one at Horseshoe Bay ferry terminal or something? Any idea on that?
Yes, Lawrence Smythe with the Society. We've done comparisons with Nanaimo and a number of other marinas around, and they all have, different varying in name, from dock masters to caretakers, what have you. We have looked around, and we're looking at best practices from other marinas.
Great, thank you. And then through the chair to staff, we have I have a grid to kind of know who's on staff and in what position. I think this would fall under the park operations. Is that where we're thinking this position would be and funded?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, that's something that I think we will be exploring as we further develop the specifics of the job description, and we will certainly work in collaboration with the society to do that.
Okay, great, thanks. I think that was one of the vacancies. I'm trying to figure out who's the acting or who's the current parks operation manager. If we know that, let us know. Thanks.
Okay, before I go to Bill, I've got a question to Bruce. Would this necessarily be a full-time position initially, or could it be part-time and later full-time?
If you permit me, Mr. Chair, I'd pass that to Phil.
Phil Carl. Johnson here. Yes, the intent was initially that it was going to be part-time as a trial, but in actual fact, we feel we would get a more qualified applicant and someone with more confidence in the field that we're looking for if we could make it a full-time regular position. So the intent would be to talk to staff about that with respect to the job evaluation and everything else that needs to be done.
Okay, just before Bill's referral, I'll just comment on it. I certainly agree with this idea. We did, a year or two ago, have people on the docks. There was one person who had some knowledge of the shipwright who was quite annoying. I don't know what his job was, but he was always down on the docks telling people where they could go. So we don't want somebody like that, but I don't know if there's any position or what positions are at the Britannia today that have survived the changeover in staffing. But hopefully we'll be able to work something out. So, Bill, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I move referral of the issue to staff to look at the various options to provide a position at the Britannia shipyards and Imperial Landing, et cetera, and report back to committee within 6 weeks, which would make it basically the middle of first week of November.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Okay, Michael, second it. Any discussion of that motion?
Thank you, if I may, Mr. Chairman. I think we've been talking about this for an awful long time, as you know, even when we did the Britannia shipyards study back in 1988, when I wasn't even on council. I think we had it in the position on it, and I think 6 weeks would be adequate time to look at it, to consult with the committee, to explore various options, and come back. It may be full-time, part-time, contract, whatever. There could be a whole. I'm not doing anybody's job. It's not my role to do that. But I think we have the professional staff to be able to put it all on the table and come back and present us with various options and the committee, and then we can see where we go from there. So I think it's work that needs to be done. Thank you.
I would add to that, the staff might want to take a look at the Cornerstone report from 1998-99. They actually at that time said we could have the Britannia shipyard self-sufficient within 6 years if we started charging admissions and also set up a program of harboring boats along the docks. And we didn't do it, but I think they had a number of recommendations there that might be worthwhile. Okay, all those in favor? Contrary? Oh, we had got 2 more hands up. Sorry about that. Carol and then Linda again.
Thank you very much, Councillor Steeves. I was just curious if this report would include all options. For example, maybe it's possible to partner with the Steveston Harbour Authority.
That is an option. That's what the referral is.
Okay, that's
everything.
Always good to look at all the options. Thank you.
Linda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support the recommendation. I just have a question of the mover about the timing. I mean, I understand it might take 6 weeks, but the next Parks and Recreation Committee is at the end of October. 6 weeks would be before the November Parks and Rec, so I'm just wondering, where does the mover see this report coming back to? What committee?
It would come back to Parks and Rec probably for November, but we'd have the report or preliminary report or some kind of report to be able to put on that agenda and discuss, because we're creating a new position.
So to the November Parks and Rec. Is that enough time then, through you, Mr. Chair, to staff, is that enough time then for consideration of the 2022 budget?
Mr. Chair, could I jump in with just a suggestion? Perhaps in response to the recommendation or the ask from the Society, we could bring this forward as part of the 2022 budget process, and Council could consider it in that context rather than as a separate report back to committee.
Yeah. One other comment I'd like to make as well, I forgot about. A decade ago, all the funding from the movies used to go to the Society, and previous management simply started siphoning those off until the money was being collected by the city. It seems like that's another option that the staff should consider that would give the society some funding. This is the reason the boots all rotted away. They had no funding. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, before you call the question, I do know back as part of the budget process. Yeah. I think we have to establish whether we're going to have this position or not. This year is going to be extremely tight in terms of the budget process and the tax increase, and this will get buried in it and get cut immediately if we have to reduce taxes. So let's get the position established first and what we can do with it before we put it in the budget. Sorry to be a stickler, but I think council needs to be aware this would get buried and not even happen. So if we do it in the budget process, yes, if we agree to it, then we can put it in the budget process. But I think we need to deal with the issue that's on the floor with the establishment and what the terms of reference. We have no idea what this person will do. May work part-time, full-time, whatever. We don't know. And we can't just stick it in the budget process along the line. I think we need to establish the position. And I think that can be done early, and then we can deal with it in November then at Parks and Rec as we move forward.
I wonder if it couldn't be brought back to the October meeting.
Sure. 4 weeks. I gave 6 weeks to be polite and kind. I'll change my right. I'll have a report back for the end of October.
I'm just asking staff.
Mr. Chair, in order to have a item on the October agenda, we would have to have it into clerks tomorrow. So the November meeting is the most reasonable meeting for us to return it to you, and that will provide enough time for inclusion in the budget process after you've considered it at that time.
Okay, that's great, fantastic. Okay, any further hands up? Don't see any. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Okay, next item, the Blue Cabin Floating Artist Residency.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing to add to the report, and I'm here to answer any questions. And we also have two members of the Blue Cabin Floating Artist Residency to give a short presentation and also answer any questions. We have Anthony Meza-Wilson, who is the Managing Director of the Blue Cabin Floating Artist Residency, as well as Glenn Alpine, who is the co-founder of the Blue Cabin Floating Artist Residency. So I will pass it on to Glenn, who will be doing the presentation.
Okay. Please proceed.
Hello, thank you for seeing us today. I'm just going to go through some of the history of the Blue Cabin. The Blue Cabin is a heritage project that saves the kind of architecture that doesn't usually get saved. In that it's not impressive, it's not big, it was quite small, it was quite unique in many ways. It was built in 1927, and it was put on the foreshore outside of Kate's Park in 1932 by the Norwegian shipbuilder who built it so that he could work at Mackenzie Barge that was next door. It existed for most of the 20th century as workers from that company used to live in it until in about 1966, Al Neal, who's a musician, a jazz musician, and an artist, and a writer, and he moved into that space and lived in it for 50 years with his partner, Carol Itter, who's another artist in the town. And in 2014, it came under demolition because of the shipbuilding building place had been sold to Polygon, and it was going in for redevelopment. And at that point, it got a demolition order. And luckily, we were able to save the cabin and put it in. There is actually some photos to this. Dileana, what happened to
I believe that was going to be your presentation. I can certainly share them, but I believe that was going to be you that was going to be sharing them.
Oh, no, I thought it was. That's why I sent them early. I thought. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, there's fine. Yeah, there's plenty in there, so that's fine. Anyway, so the cabin in 2015, we moved it, and over a period of time, we worked with a group of people, and we remediated the cabin after there was a heritage report and we eventually remediated the cabin by two artists named Jeremy and Sue Sporsos, who took the cabin completely apart. And under the floorboards in the floor, they found posters from 1927 that were used and then put in in streetcars, and they were quite thick, and they used to use them under the floorboards so that the floorboards wouldn't squeak. Apparently, this was quite a thing in Kitsilano all over. So the cabin is now it's on a barge with a small house, and it acts as a residency and acts as an engagement thing around histories. And the histories that it sings are squatters' histories, but also maritime industrial histories, native histories, the histories that get lost in the redevelopment of Vancouver, as so much of our history gets redeveloped. Anyway, I'll leave it there, but if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any questions from committee? I don't see any hands up. Oh, there's Bill.
Yeah, I think this is to staff, if I may. Bilyani, are we only asking for $5,000 for this whole project?
To the chair, to Councilor McNulty, yes, the maintenance and the operation costs for this project will be covered by the Blue Cabin Floating Artist Residency. The city is covering $5,000, which is coming from a pre-approved capital public art budget for the moorage cost or for the cost to bring the barge to Imperial Landing.
Well, I think for $5,000, this is fantastic that we can bring something that maybe spark further interest in the arts and stimulate the arts and go on it and have this down on the dock, etc. Wow! Can you come up with more aspects of this to promote the arts? I mean, you can't beat it, and I'm not quibbling about $5,000. I think I'd give you $10,000 if you need it for something along this line. Job well done. I think we have to support this and publicize it and get on with it. And
Michael.
Yes, thank you. I just had a question, if I may, through the chair to the delegate. Some of the photos that are in our report package show like architectural visualizations. So it looks like it's being towed up against a larger structure. But right now, at the proposed location in our package at the Imperial Landing side there on the east side of it, I wonder, does new infrastructure need to be built first, or I see him shaking head no. And then the other part of this is over that span of a negotiable term of 2 years, ideally, could multiple locations be considered, just so more people can experience it in their neighborhood and it can inspire more art in other places, in other directions?
It's actually a bit more difficult to move than that, because as soon as you move it, you have to change the whole infrastructure around it, and it's quite expensive to move it because you need a tow truck, you need to do for the insurance, all that stuff. It's not quite as movable as we first had in mind when we first developed. The idea of this was that we could put it from place to place, but actually the moving of it is a lot more complicated, as are a lot of things about this project, than we first envisioned when we first envisioned the project.
Great, much appreciated. Thank you. I'm definitely in support of this project. Wonderful. Thanks.
I just want to make a comment as well. It's not just an artist's residence. It's actually a piece of history from the North Shore that we had here in Steveston. At one time, the Steveston waterfront was simply lined with small houseboats and barges, exactly like this one.
Yeah.
The last one was on Mitchell Island, and when they were evicted from Mitchell Island, the people were living in it. I tried to get them into Scotch Pond, but our staff objected to it, and I don't know where they went. The one before that, the last one before that on the Steveston waterfront was bulldozed when the Hong Wo store was bulldozed in the 1970s. But basically, a large number of our Japanese population from the 1900s through to about 1970 to the 1970s actually lived on houseboats on barges like this that went up and down with the tide. They sat in the mud when the tide went out, and they sat in the water when the tide came in. And one further thing, I had an aunt and uncle that lived one in the same park area as this one was. I was a little kid at the time, so I don't remember if I saw this house or not, but they lived right there, right where it was. So I'm really, really pleased to support this project because it not only is for artists, but it's an important part of our history as well. So
it's amazing it got saved. It's one of the few that ever got saved. Well, you guys have Finn Slough out there, which is another one that's been saved over time, but on the North Shore, I mean, the Blue Cabin was the last, and so there is no more over there. So it really represented a big history there of Malcolm Lowry, of the mud flats, of the whole history of squatting that was related to maritime industrial history, but also, you know, writing history and visual art history and music history and all those things as well. So I think it's important because of that, because of the things that it touches off, and the things that it brings with it when it comes.
Exactly, and I don't know if there are any still at Finn Slough or not, but there used to be a number of them at Finn Slough as well.
There are. They're still there.
Yes, there are?
Yes, yeah, there are.
Any further comments from committee?
Move the recommendation.
Carol.
Thank you very much, Councillor Steves. I just had two questions. On page 10 of
the... Can't hear you.
Just good now? Can you hear me now?
No.
Guys? Just one sec. They're just doing the technical. Just one sec.
Councillor Day, your mic should be on.
Yeah, it's on here. It says red.
Okay.
Hey, can you hear me now, Councillor Steves? No.
Nope, still can't hear you.
Sorry, they're just working on it. One sec. Did you do something different, Linda? They could hear you. Like your mic is off on your iPhone, right? Just okay. Yeah.
Is mine on? Can you hear me? Doesn't sound like it.
Can't hear me. Can't hear.
Okay, I think we're.
She could make the comment in chat.
On.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Appuyez sur le 0. Pour choisir français.
Oh, good. This is why I come in here, so I don't have to deal with this.
You entered 99. This meeting ID does not exist. Please re-enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed. Please enter the meeting password. You are in the meeting now. There.
Some of the highlights
you are unmuted.
From our page 29, the table 2. It talks about the number of registrations from the last few years. So, because some of them are like really drastic jumps, and the one, so like for example, the online one, right, was not applicable the last couple of years, but how high that jumped this year. Arts, how it was down last year, and what sprung it back up. And then the other one I was just confused about is for under the racket sports, under tennis and badminton. I know we have the tennis club and tennis facilities, but where do people register to do badminton? Would that be considered like at a community center, summer event, or did we have badminton camps so I'm just not sure about that one, in gymnasiums or, thanks.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, to provide a few highlights from the chart on PRCS 29. Many of the program's declines that you see are a result of restrictions from the COVID-19 health orders.
We did need to reduce capacity in several of our programs, and we're limited by the types of programs that we could offer. Where we did notice an increase were in areas such as skating lessons, where we feel there was a backlog of participants from not being able to offer those programs in 2020, as well as the community not traveling as much over the summer, so looking for safe local opportunities, and skating being a fundamental skill for children to learn in that large environment. We also saw a notable increase in our sports, health, and fitness programs. As you recall, throughout the pandemic, there has been an emphasis that the province has placed on sports, health, and fitness activities, as well as the fact that many of those activities we were able to move outdoors and provide normal capacity for those programs and services. As far as racket sports, the numbers do not include programs that were offered at the tennis club. So these are programs offered through community centers and other community services facilities, city operated. We did operate some racket sports camps that are included in the day camp numbers of the statistics in the report, and had to reduce our capacity for indoor racket sports. So badminton court bookings, for example, were still offered, but a much more limited capacity.
Well, I'll just say bravo. Well done on being able to recover as quick as we have and to follow the health guidelines protocols. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
okay,
sorry to jump in. We're ready to try Councillors Day and McPhail again, if possible.
Can you hear me now?
Councillor McPhail was gone too.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Just a real quick question. I noticed on page 10 that on low tide, which is a few days of the year, the float will be sitting on the actual mud. How will that affect operations during those days, or would we have to suspend operations during those days?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, thank you for the question. We did discuss this, and because the bottom of the river is not rocky, it's silt, it would not have any impact on the operations or the maintenance of the barge.
Perfect. And just one last little thing. On page 59, it says there'll be no liveaboards, but on page 18, it does show a bedroom. Will the bedroom be repurposed for programs?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, that is correct. The photos that you're seeing is from an older programming, and where the barge is currently moored in False Creek, there is liveaboard, but when they do come to Richmond, there will be no liveaboard and the bed will be removed.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Where were we?
Number 2.
Yeah. Okay. Anything further on the summer update?
Move the recommendation for information.
All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Item 3, Garden City Lands update.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. I have
Alex?
nothing further to add, and I'm available to answer any.
Oh, we can hardly hear you. Anyway, I think Alex said he had hardly nothing to add to the committee report. Or any questions for Alex?
Testing?
Yeah. Fine.
Carol and then Bill.
Correct, Chair. I'm available to answer any and all questions. Thank you.
Yeah, Carol.
Thank you very much. I just want to mention that the Seniors Advisory Committee asked for the benches, and I'm just thrilled to pieces that staff could act so quickly on that, and that maybe that was already in the works, but they were thrilled to pieces to hear that. And I'm extremely excited about Kwantlen building a barn. I think that's really going to ramp up operations on that farm. And does staff have any indication, should there be any problem with the Agricultural Land Commission granting a non-farm use for the barn? Which I don't understand why that's non-farm, by the way. It's a barn, but.
Through the Chair to Councillor Day, no, we do not anticipate there to be any issues, but then again, it's subject to review and approval by the South Coast panel. The reason why it may, and it's still to be determined as we work through the process, but may involve a non-farm use application is because KPU is an educational institution, and the barn, yes, will be for agricultural activities and storage, etc. But because they are a university, they like to teach, and they teach on the farm, and they teach throughout the year. On a rainy day, they may want to take things inside and use the barn as an educational facility. So that's something we'll work with them and certainly report back to council as this proceeds forward. And of course, should there be a non-farm use application, we would go through the process.
Thank you very much.
Bill.
Yeah, just a quick question. I support the report and everything that's in it, and glad to see we're moving ahead. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chair, and maybe staff can correct me. Were we not to have a staff workshop on the development and future of the Garden City lands, of which council would be invited to attend? Were we not going to sit down one day and sort of have where we're going, what it's going to cost, et cetera, et cetera? Have I missed something along the line? I mean, we were to do that, I thought 2 or 3 years ago that was envisioned. And not that we're moving slowly. I'm not disputing anything. I'm happy, extremely happy about us, taking one baby steps. However, I think other council members sort of requested the same, and I thought we were going to have one down the road. Is that in the near future? Anybody answer that? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, you're absolutely right. We did agree the council was going to have a workshop, and we haven't had it. So who can answer that?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, staff are working on a workshop in the very near future. And in fact, we have had some preliminary planning meetings, and I think you'll hear about it in fairly short term.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Michael.
Great, thank you. One of my questions was just answered about the workshop that was planned. The other question I had is related to what's approved or would be approved with this report. Is there any existing land that needs to be dug up, like peatland that needs to be dug up to accommodate what's on our PRCS 39, the map? So that's what, and I might have a follow-up to that.
Sorry, I just needed a moment to reference the map. Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the answer is no.
Great, thank you. Then my final point then, instead of another question, is I'm really looking forward to the coming report that will have a subsection on bog conservation and restoration and getting to the planning stages of something that can do well if being neglected, but when we're going through such heat waves, the heat dome effects, the things that have never been experienced by the land, in addition to all the other impacts they're feeling, water being pumped out and contamination from other sources. So it really is an area that we need to start to address. So I hope we can find priorities. If not, maybe putting that into a budgetary line item where we hire the biodiversity coordinator position to help it work on enhancing our habitats and native species beyond just planting them, which I really appreciate, and the big plantings that are going to happen this fall and winter. Excited about it. But anyhow, those are my comments. We can leave it at that. Thanks.
Okay. I see no further questions. Someone would like to move adoption? Moved. Seconded. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Okay, that brings us to the next item that I added to the agenda, which is the 215 trees. And I've sent everybody a one-page background report. I hope you all got a chance to look at it, plus pages and pages and pages of background information. And just to be brief on it, when we adopted the Britannia plan, we were supposed to have several hundred native trees. We never accomplished that, and the last time we worked on it was 2006, and I included in the file both the original park plan, which I just sent to you about a couple minutes before the meeting was to start, and previous to that, reports that I had written and others had written recommending the various plants that should be planted there. The last time we dealt with it was 2006, when the buildings, the village was rebuilt, and nearly 100% of the native trees were destroyed by the landscapers, and they put in replacement trees. If you had a West Coast tree and they didn't know where it was, they put on an English tree or something like that. They simply just put in replacements. Instead of bitter cherry, they put in Montmorency cherries and things like that, and replaced them. So fortunately, we caught it before they put too many in. They were supposed to remove them. They didn't, but the plan was never finished. And Jane Fernyhost said when we did the next phase of redevelopment for Britannia, we would finish it. Well, that was 15 years ago. So it strikes me that if we decide to plant 215 trees, there's supposed to be more than 215 trees and shrubs planted at Britannia and along the trail from Britannia to Trites Road. And if we're dealing with recalling what happened at the school at Kamloops for First Nations people, then it's logical we would plant trees and shrubs that honor the First Nations people. So that's what I drafted in the report. So the recommendation I'm recommending is that we refer this to staff to look into completing the tree planting at Britannia Shipyard and along the trail to Trites Road with tree species native to the Richmond area. Some were upland species, as you'll see in the reports, and some were marshland species. And the areas along the trail and at Britannia where the different species would go was outlined both in my recommendation in 1994, I think it was, and in the recommendation of the staff report adopted by council. And I think that would be certainly a great way to honor the First Nations people and compensate for the losses that, in some way, of showing our regrets for what happened at Kamloops. So I'd like to move that this report, the recommendation, will be referred to staff to consider when we are considering the report that was presented to council last night.
Second.
Any discussion on the referral? All those in favor?
Sorry,
Michael.
Yeah, thanks. Just very briefly on that. I don't think it was spoken by the group last night, the Richmond Youth Education Center, that they wanted anything but trees. But I want to support Councillor Steve on this one. Some of our native shrubs grow as if they are large trees, and they have multiple trunks coming out of them. So I think the negotiation or working towards that is very suitable, and it also provides edible growth all the way down to the ground, which is the way people harvested and took the full use of the bounty of native plants here. So fully in support of the motion. Thanks.
One other thing I forgot to mention, we don't have nurseries in Canada that have all of these varieties, but in Washington State, native species are required. And so as much of the northern part of Washington has the same habitat as we have in Richmond, you can get everything at nurseries in Washington. However, there are some nurseries in BC that have some of these, but the reason that the bitter cherry and the Indian plum and some of those trees weren't planted was because the landscapers couldn't find them. Well, we know where we can find them, so I think it's important to note that. Okay, all those in favor of the referral? Contrary? Carried. Okay, the next referral was from Bill.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it may just be a reaffirmation, but council members will know and committee members know we received numerous sports facilities task force reports from Sports Council, and in particular, I'm just there's a list of many sport development and sport improvements, and I just want to make sure that in that report, and staff may be able to help me, on it is that those sport development requests and future expansions include East Richmond and Hamilton, and in particular King George Park, McLean Park, and Willett Park for possible soccer fields or mini soccer fields, and also baseball or softball diamonds. Are those automatically in there, or do we have to make a referral on that?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, some of those items are around baseball are included on the King George that are in on the request. Also on the request is the rugby specific to soccer. No, there isn't for either McLean or for King George.
Well, I would, Mr. Chairman, referral to staff to include looking at, and I'm not saying these sports in particular, but any sport development for Hamilton and East Richmond at the appropriate parks and appropriate areas. It could be at the school, whatever. But I think we need to include Hamilton and East Richmond in our sport development. So I'd make a referral just to include them. We don't know what will come about of it. It may not be those particular sports, but it could be other requests. It could be a bike park. It could be whatever. Okay. So I would move that East Richmond, Hamilton, and those parks be included in the task force.
Okay. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of the referral? Contrary? Carried.
Thank you very much.
Michael. Your first one.
Thank you. The first one is court usage, and it somewhat relates to the last comment there. So there's limited amount of court space that we provide as a city. There's a number of individuals and ad hoc teams that have expressed over the summer frustration with competing groups when. And I know myself going to many playgrounds with my daughter and seeing tennis courts and looking at the nice City Richmond sign on it saying what's not supposed to be going on inside the tennis courts, and that's what's going on in the tennis courts. And hearing about confrontations when there's groups of 12 or more people standing around waiting for their turn or to use what they think is meant for their user group, but they're not being assigned that says that what is going on there is not allowed. So anyhow, I'm not sure how we are at enforcing it. I know when I attend community safety committee meetings, I don't see a line item for court usage infractions. Like, is it a growing problem? Do we need more signage? Do we need to add some things to the signage to help our Richmond residents use these spaces as opposed to outside groups coming and using our well-paved park spaces?
Okay, can somebody answer that right now?
To the chair, I can answer for Councillor Wolf. So this summer we added additional signage to all of our tennis courts and pickleball courts, and duly noted, specifying what it was allowed on the courts, and part of that was to mitigate any damage, etc. We can look at further signage as it relates to, we have three lacrosse boxes that we know are sometimes used for lacrosse practices, and also ball hockey and inline hockey. If those groups want to have a discussion with us, we're happy to work with them to figure out preferred times and then also posted times, and work with them to figure out their insurance and any other challenges that they might have to book some of those courts.
Okay, thank you. That'll be the end of that item then. I won't need to go any further today. Thank you. The second item, if I may, through the chair, very brief again. I would like to perhaps have a staff memo on what the strawberry is used for. I believe I saw it over the summer a couple times. One was at the Maritime Festival. So it's a boat, it's a skiff, it's docked there right at the end of the Seine net loft. And my question is, what do we use it for? What could we use it for? I have some suggestions. I'm not going to go into it now, but I'd like to know what is our, like, we just talked about a new position, a waterfront coordinator. Would they also have some role in operating, utilizing the Strawberry, or could that become an additional service, an agreement, and perhaps cost fee service to do other things? So I'll leave it at that. But is that something that we could get a staff memo on?
Rebecca?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf. Currently, the Strawberry is used to support the ongoing maintenance of the facility. It's certainly something that is available to society members for use as we work with them if needed. And we can explore other opportunities to do that as they arise.
So then just a follow-up through the chair then. So you're referring to the Britannia Shipyard Society. It's they're determining the daily use of it, or is it in negotiation with the city? Because it is park property. Is that also correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, yes, the city owns the boat. It was acquired through the society, and substantial changes have been made to the vessel to allow it to support the facility maintenance that we need to do. But it is available for society to use for events and activities as things come up.
Okay, thank you. I'll trust the process and leave it to the stakeholder groups you're already working with. Thank you. Next item, if I may, through the chair, skateboarding. Again, it related to some previous items that were discussed there. But I'm bringing it up separately because I know we've received some, or I've received some letters about it addressed to me. I'm not sure if others got it around now that it's been added to the Olympics and it's a growing sport and Richmond's flat and we have potential space for it. And if you go to the city's website under skate parks, there is a skate park, but there's again a big opening of Richmond where there is nothing like that. And for people to use it, there are often not people with their own cars that can drive there. So they really are something that needs to be within neighborhoods, not in a single neighborhood. And so I know for the first time in my teaching career, there's a skateboarding club at the school I'm at, and I don't know, maybe there's a big rise coming, and the use of these scooters and getting back on 2 or 4 wheels. Does staff see? I haven't gone to our city skate park over the summer, but has there been an overflow? I know the one in Queensboro is really heavily used, but what's the staff's take on that?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, as you noted, we have the 2 skate parks currently in the city. I would say we're seeing fairly consistent usage on the 2 parks that we have. We did have some meetings with user groups about a year ago, kind of looking at the age of our parks, some of the amenities and services that they provide. At that time, they did express possible interest in maybe expanding into some of the covered areas within the city. But that's what we've heard so far from our user groups. Okay, great. Thanks. I got to hear that those conversations are happening. I won't go any further at requesting anything in next year's budget. That may come in time. The last item then, if I may, through the chair, last one, I apologize, and it'll probably be brief as well. So there discussed that, or I brought up at last Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting, and didn't go any further. But I think it also fits really well here. So my question to staff is the Audlinwood Park Trail, environmental sensitive area, that is about to get 40 trees removed and lots of vegetation and compacted soil. This is in parks, but I get the overlap of all of the committee, all of the departments, and the issues. But we have strategies that are to often say first thing is protect, is keep what we have, rather than go out and buy clones of other plants and bring them here, and the expense of that when we can keep and retain some of the genetic diversity that's already here. It's what we've done on half the Garden City lands for the bog conservation component to it.
but to see other bog forests at different stages in their evolution, but nonetheless, there's not a lot of them left. So I thought, would we not have, on behalf of parks, the compensation plan, the habitat replacement or enhancement, because what is in the report from Public Works and Transportation, to me, just follows the tree protection bylaw, which the city is exempt from. So we're basically putting in many trees, the number's high, but they're not, we're losing the habitat. We're losing a place where things that like it dark will be, because now we're putting street lamps over asphalt where there was a park space. Then we're not losing the whole park, I get that. So I don't know, I just felt like parks should be having a bigger role in this. And it's also for recreation. You can use the trail now, you can recreate there and do all sorts of things. Art is a big use in that space as well, people taking photos and inspiration. But it's not in the conversation of what I think is a very critical project at this time. So I'll leave it at Mr. Parks.
Can anybody comment on that?
Go ahead, Jason. Thank you. To the Chair, to Councillor Wolf, thank you for the question. Just to reiterate, the project is an engineering project, and they're trying to improve the multi-use path right along the roadway of Elder Bridgeway. As far as we understand and review with them through the process, they're not. There's no plan to invade into the SLA area, the environmental area. So all the work is done along the edge of the area, not in the heart of the area. And also to clarify, it's not part of the Auckland Wood Park. Auckland Wood Park is to the north of this area that you're referring to. Saying that, though, your point about native species habitat is well taken, and we continue to work with the engineering and environmental colleagues to make sure that the replacement species are correctly selected, and that would be adding to the environmental and habitat of the area.
Then thank you for that. All clear on my mind. But so it was approved as an engineering project, I believe, in 2017. So before this term of mine. So I didn't have a chance in voting for it then. And if maybe just correct me if someone has a better handle than I do on it. But it's been a budget item because it's part of the 5-year plan, and so I've seen it every year as the Alderbridge Way multi-use pathway line item. But there's never been a parks component to it because, as you've said just now, the park is actually north of where this retaining wall is going to go in the current plan.
Through the Chair to Councillor Wolf, the park is further north, north of Blair Drive, which is in the internal block. This entire area, there's no park component to it, although, as you've mentioned, there is a trail that kind of goes through the area and then into the north of the area onto Blair Drive. Further to Blair Drive, there's another road that's called Shepherd Drive. That's where Auckland Wood Park is.
Okay. Thank you. I was at Alderwood Park with my daughter in the playground there. Through the Chair, last comment on this. I think what's needed here, and I feel like this must have already been done, but how have we, as a city, not identified places like this to include in our parks program? This was actually one of the first sites where there was a community garden in Richmond, and it was started by the neighbors who first lived in that subdivision when it was built. And it underwent vandalism, so they disbanded as a small group of neighbors trying to get a community garden going. It's been a trail. Cyclists use it. Everything uses it for recreation. And to have us not include a place like this, I don't know where the process needs to fall. Could someone clarify? Does it need to be in the OCP upcoming revision that something like this could be included into parks? Or can we make a motion right now to request this to be put into parks?
Mr. Chair, through you to Councillor Wolf, we'll need to do a little bit of research as staff and can provide a memo with additional information. Often it will hinge on how the land was acquired. and often that will provide some information about what steps might need to be taken. So we'll get back to you with more information.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Next is manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have a couple, and then if I might have a couple of minutes with committee members or the council members that are on the call after adjournment, just to clarify a couple of things after the meeting, that would be great too.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two updates this afternoon. First, I'd like to inform committee that National Seniors Day is coming up this Friday, October 1st. This year, we're celebrating with a variety of free and low-cost virtual and in-person programs, such as a ukulele class at Steveston Community Center or a sweet treat deal at the Senior Center Cafeteria at Minoru Center for Active Living. Also, as part of National Seniors Day, the city coordinates a positive aging campaign that showcases positive images of seniors living in Richmond and aims to reduce ageism and existing stereotypes. This year's theme of how aging positively spreads highlights the impact and rippling effect of that one person can have, creating positivity across a community. You can view the campaign on our website, through social media, at the Senior Center at Minoru Center for Active Living, and at our various community centers across Richmond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who's next?
Mr. Chair, I am. A quick update on the artificial turf memo that was sent out to Mayor and Council last week, just to inform you that staff are currently working with both of the soccer organizations to resolve any outstanding issues related to their field allocation. And in fact, we have a meeting, staff have a meeting tomorrow with the two respective chairs to discuss outstanding issues tomorrow night. So the intention of those meetings are again to resolve all outstanding issues for both clubs. Thank you.
Great. Next.
Thank you. I have three short updates for you tonight. Culture Days kicked off last weekend with approximately 1,000 attendees to activities in and around the Cultural Centre over the 2 days. And we estimate there will be 55 events by artists and cultural organizations across Richmond this year, both online and in person through the month. Richmond Art Gallery's new exhibition, A Practice in Gestures, runs until November 7th. It presents 6 BC-based women artists whose work makes visible what is often invisible, domestic labor, and the power of daily rituals and gestures. There are 2 free live-streamed events associated with the exhibition. On October 16th, there will be a panel discussion around the historically undervalued concept of women's work. And on October 30th, as part of the Artist Salon series, Bev Costi, an Anishinaabe artist, will share her experience as a beading artist, teacher, and mentor for Indigenous youth. And lastly, in the world of public art, following our open calls for the mural program, we received 38 artist submissions to the artist roster, which will be used to commission muralists through 2024. And 10 property owners submitted applications for their walls for the 2022 Community Mural Program. We are now in the midst of the adjudication process with a report to come to PRCS in December.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I have one update for tonight. Sorry, through the chair. I'm not sure if Councillor Day had a question for Liesl or...
Oh, Carol, you got your hand up for somebody.
No, let's hear Rebecca first. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to extend an invitation to the new Richmond Museum annual feature exhibit called Reinventing Richmond. We're very excited about it. It's depicting the different faces that Richmond's had over the years to the public, from Salmonopolis to Garden City. And we're extra excited because we haven't had a new feature exhibit for a year because of COVID. But I hope you have an opportunity to come visit sometime in the upcoming months. And if you're interested, we're happy to have our curator, Sheila Hill, give you a private tour. And there's some very exciting things, from a very large 1950s chicken incubator to a full-size Quachi mascot costume from the Olympics. So hope you can stop by.
Sounds good. Okay, Carol.
Thank you very much, Councillor Steves. I just wanted to let everybody know out there that October 1st, the Richmond Rotary Hospice on number 4 Road is going to be celebrating their 20th anniversary. And it's going to be a really awesome event that will just really showcase all the amazing work that they do there.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I don't see anybody else, so I guess we can adjourn the meeting and we'll just stay behind.